service level agreements, you've probably heard of these. These are going to be basically that contract between a service provider, which could be internal, most of the time are external, and the end user that's going to describe that level of service expected from the service provider. So SLAs a lot of times can incorporate the expectations for service utility, like any type of functional performance. If there's a service warranty, for example, the availability or the speed or the continuity. There's something that I have right now for a project that I'm working on where we're exchanging data files, and the system that we're migrating everything over to, there's SLAs around that. Like it has to be, available, and it has to be able to process the data at a certain rate and all of that. So all that's built into that SLA. Typically, SLAs act as like a service or govern as a service after the project is delivered, and they help define that expected level of performance. So it's definitely important to at least, if you have one or know of it, know that it exists on your project, because it can have a big impact downstream. And ideally, effective SLAs are going to reflect those business-driven metrics, including things like transaction processing or customer satisfaction. And you've got an example of an SLA type contract here, a service level agreement on this slide, and I believe it's also in your handbook. So it just kind of gives you an example of what some of that would look like. And I would say it's good to know what this is. It's important to know what it is, because at least know the components of it or what it entails, kind of see a few examples so that you can, be familiar with it in case you see some type of test question or something about it. As far as prioritization techniques that are used to determine objectives, one of the important features in Agile approaches is the maintenance and management of the product backlog. And you can see here, the product backlog is that ordered list of those user-centric requirements that a team maintains for a project or product. So the product backlog is typically owned by the customer, which in a Scrum methodology or Scrum practice would be the role of the product owner. And it's going to reflect the list of desired capabilities, user stories, and also the list is going to be prioritized with those highest business value and highest business risks listed first. The ones that are kind of, fall into those categories. So project managers can probably be asked to help the customer prioritize that list, and you can use a number of techniques to assist in this work. So here you've got a list of those prioritization techniques. So with the Kano model, or Kano, this is where you would identify certain features or capabilities like basic, performance, or excitement, and that can help in the prioritization of the capability of which ones are truly must-have, which could create a meaningful or competitive differentiator. You can use a Moscow analysis, or MSCW, which stands for must-have, should have, could have, or won't have for now. And that helps you categorize, everything into those features there. And it helps organize your thinking about what are truly, must-have capabilities, and helps enable that identification of the minimum viable product. If you talk about paired comparison analysis, this is where you look at each of stories and you prioritize one over the others. So this is another technique used in Agile to, prioritize the product backlog. And then the 100 points method, this kind of self-explanatory, but basically a stakeholder is given 100 points and they can vote for what they think is going to be, the most important thing, the must-have. You know, they can put one vote on everything, or they can put all 100 votes on one, like multi-vote, across all the stories, and then give a weighted priority when they're combined.